Simple regression. Linear is called a simple regression. Let's have a overview of it theoretically. So let's say we are given a data set following columns like features, how much a company spends on ratio, radio advertising each year, and annual sales in terms of units sold. Okay, so there's a ratio. There's a data set which contains the amount of money that a company spends on radio and advertising each year, with annual sales in terms of how many number of units are sold that year. So we are trying to develop an equation that will let us to predict units sold based on how much companies spend on radio advertisement. Okay, so see this one. The rows observation represent the companies. See that, you can check it out. The companies names are Amazon. Radio advertisements are $37.8 million. Sales are 22. Google 39.3. Sale is 10.4. Facebook 45. Sale is 18. Apple 41. Sale is 18.5. Fine. So using this data, when you plot this data in a two-dimensional plane, so we will get a line that is called as a linear connectivity between them, and to find the model of it, we can make use of the linear regression method. Now see, basically, can we use this data to do the predictions? We have seen some function to do the predictions. So how these predictions are actually made? These predictions are made with the help of the function of linear regression over there. So our prediction function outputs an estimate of sales given a company's radio advertisement spend and our current values of weight and bias. Weight and bias, two things are there which are mentioned in it. So sale is equal to weight into radio plus bias, the value of radio into weight plus bias. So it's like y is equal to mx plus c. So m, which we call as slope, is multiplied. That's why it's called as weight. And bias, which is c, which is added. That's why it is called as, it is intercept, which is added. That's why it's called as bias. So basically, weights are multiplied, bias are added. Fine. To adjust the values. So weight, it's a coefficient for the radio independent variable. In machine learning, we call it as the coefficient weights. Coefficient that you basically multiply there. And this is in linear regression, we call it as a slope that is multiplied. Okay. Weight. Then we have the second value, that is radio. The independent variable, that is your input variable, the value that you are providing as input. How much amount of money you are spending for radio advertisement, that is your input variable. And in machine learning, we call this variable as features. That is your input variable. Feature is input variable, label is the outcome variable. Fine. Bias then, third case. Bias is the intercept, y-intercept, where our line intercept the y-axis. So in machine learning, we can call intercept bias. Bias offsets all the prediction that we make. So only multiplication not possible. We have to add something also. Just like, for example, if my input is 4, okay, my input is 4, and I want to generate 14 from that. 14 from that. So how equation will be there? So whatever input I have, 4 into 3 plus 2. Remember, only multiplication is not sufficient. We can have, by using multiplication, we can skip the numbers in between. Like if you are having multiplication, so 4 into 2, 8, into 2, 12, into 2, 16, into 2, sorry, into 1, sorry. 1 we are going to add it. 4 plus 4, 4 into 2, 4 into 3, 4 into 4, 4 into 5, like that. So we'll go for 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, like that. But I want to predict value 14. So to adjust that, we have to add the bias. 4 into 3 plus 2. Only multiplication not sufficient. Addition is also expected there. Multiplication generate a result fastly with very fast speed. But to make the adjustment of actual result, the concept of bias, that's bias, which is the y-intercept, that is added. So using this formula, the predictions are possible. But it's important to create these values of weight and bias or slope and intercept there, which is created in learning with the help of linear regression. Even OLS regression also we have seen. Ordinary least square also we have talked about the same. Even in one more example, I'll show gradient descent. There also the linear problems can be solved, and there also we are having the weight and bias present in it. So once the weight and bias are known, then the predictive analytics from the given data is possible. Now, our algorithm will try to learn the correct values for the weight and bias. Your linear regression or any linear regression which is creating a linear model will try to learn the correct values for weight and bias. By the end of our training, our equation will approximate the line of best fit. The line of best fit, which is at the center of all the point. The line of best fit. So you can see this. All the points on the x-axis we have the sale of radio, and on y-axis we have the amount of money that you have spent on radio advertisement is on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we have this total sale, and if you plotted it, it's at the center of all averaging line, the line of best fit that we call. And remember, when the predictions are done on the line only. Okay, if some data, for example, you can check it out, radio, IXL is 60, sale is 30, but I want to check when radio input advertisement is 100 million dollars something, which is not in the data set. Then how to predict it? So the value, when you extend this line in this direction ahead, wherever the 100 is crossing, what's the value of sales or y is present there, that will be your predicted outcome. That will be your predicted outcome. The predictions will be done by this method, by extending that line, and what's value of y is present when you have specified the x input. That's how the line of best fit is used. Not only in front direction, in back direction also same concept is there. If you want to identify when I'm having -5 here, -5. So similarly, your output of sale can also be there, like in minus, but practically it is not good, not perfect, not possible there. But it's a regression. Line can go infinite, negative direction and positive direction, because it's a regression problem. Its output is in continuous format. It contains specific values of coefficient and intercept. With the help of it, the equation is created. That's it. Okay, we have talked about the cost function already, the cost function, but we'll see how exactly cost function is effective and used it here. The prediction function is nice function formula we have, but for our purposes we don't really need it. What we need is the cost function, so we can start optimizing our weights. Cost function to optimize our weight. So let's use MSE, that is your mean squared error, MSE, L2 as our cost function. MSE measures the average squared difference between the observation actual observed value. We have seen that when you have seen the regression analysis that time I told about the same are MSE and RMSE. MSE is the square difference, mean square difference between the actual values and predicted value. The output is single number presenting the cost or score associated with our current set of weights. Our goal is to minimize the MSE to improve the accuracy of our model. Now see, minimizing the MSE, mean squared error or mean absolute error, is the goal of the cost function, to identify that. Now see this one, this is the let's go with mathematically how this MSE function is actually created. So given our simple linear equation y is equal to mx plus b, we can calculate MSE as MSE is equal to 1 divided by n into summation of all I is equal to 1 to n yi minus see mx plus b. Y is the original value, original observation, it is actual value of observation, and mx of I plus b, that is our predicted values. These are our predicted values, which is created according to equation, that is your predicted values are. So yi minus, y means original value minus predicted value square and all of their summation divided by total number of filament, there. So you can see here mean 1 by n into summation of I is equal to 1 to n is the mean. It's the mean. Y is actual value, mxi plus b is our predictions. And if we calculate all them together, we get the mean squared error. We will get the mean squared error. MSC is present there. Now see, to calculate the cost function, for it, so how the code can be created. Here I've just created one simple function where the value of radio, sales, weight and bias are given. So input, and output. Okay, input is radio, output is sale. Then weight is multiplied with the input and bias is added to the input, and according to output is generated. Okay, like that. So to create this cost function, can just take all these inputs we require. Company is equal to total number of elements. How many are there? So how many number of time you have to proceed further? For example, the data set which I shown containing 4 companies only. The length of radio is 4. Total error I kept 0. Then for I in range companies, from all these companies like 4 times the loop will get executed, and for every time total error is equal to total error plus, that is first time it is 0, plus sales of I, that is first company sale, into predicted sale, that is weight into radio of I plus bias, that is predicted sale, and its square raised to 2 is done. So total error is equal to total error plus this value that we get. So we'll get the error of first company, then we'll go to second company, then third company, then fourth company. I will start from 0, 1, 2, 3 till whatever number of companies are there, all that are considered, and according to that the total error is calculated. Fine. Squared error I'm talking about, only squared error. Here I have not used any default function presented here. Just like in NP we are having that particular functions. So they are not using a for function. For here calculated it. Then total error is calculated. Then total error divided by total or companies. We got a total error. Mean, average of all, that is calculated. That is mean squared error. The error is a difference, their square and their mean. That is the cost function that's we can use over here for the linear regression methods. Okay, not only linear regression, common linear regression, but if you talk about other techniques also or other algorithm also, it's possible to apply, which are linearly working, which follow the line of best fit, whether it is ransack regression, it is the linear polynomial regression, or any other. Polynomial doesn't contain that, but gradient descent or OLS regression also. Let's see gradient descent. Gradient descent is an iterative optimization algorithm to find the minimum of the function. It's our loss function. That is our function, is our loss function. Okay, so minimum of the function that can be calculated. Minimum loss, if you get, that's we can identify the gradient descent. Now see, the idea of gradient descent is coming from this particular concept. You can see, for example, I'm traveling through a valley like this. So when you are at this position, here at this position, so there's a steep slope is there, which value of d is high. So it takes last step. We'll take last step to cover the different distance. This point here, last steps are there. Now as we move close to the valley, here slope will be less and steep value of d will be low to take these small steps. Again, we'll take these small steps to perform these operations here, and we'll reach the goal. And if you're going to go ahead, again initially we can take large steps, but as you move above, your step will be smaller. It's a valley descent, we call gradient descent. Now let's use this concept example of it. Now imagine that a valley and a person with no sense of direction who want to get the bottom of the valley. So he goes down the slope and take the large steps when the slope is steep and small steps when the slope is less steep. Correct. So he decides his next position based on his current position and stops when he gets to the bottom of the valley, which is his goal. Correct. This is a common idea. Descent method is there. When you are at the high, your speed is very fast, your steps are also very fast, but as you come closer to the goal, your step slows down. Difference between them also. It's got a gradient descent. Now let's apply that gradient descent to our algorithm of M and C. So gradient descent is one of the method by which we can identify the value of M and C. Gradient. Okay. So initially, for example, if you keep M is equal to 0, C is equal to 0. And we will learn the value of M and C with the help of gradient descent. Now how it is done? So M0, C0, and let L be the value of our learning rate. Learning rate in percentage, 1%, 2%, 3%, 0.01, 0.02, like all will get it. Learning rate. So this will control how much value of M changes with the step, each step. Okay. How much the value of M changes with each step. So L could be a small value like 0.0001, that is 0.01% for good accuracy. Now, this is the first step. Then second step, calculate the partial derivative of the loss function. See here the application of partial derivative is that we have seen in the calculus unit. Partial derivative of the loss function with respect to M and plug in the current values of x, y, m, c to obtain the derivative d. To obtain the derivative value d. See this. Here we are calculating the partial derivatives. Now, first of all, dm is calculated. Dm is the value of partial derivative with respect to m. Partial derivative with respect to m. Similarly, let's find a partial derivative with respect to c. So, partial derivative with respect to m is this one. Dm is equal to 1 by n into summation of I is equal to 0 to n for all the values yi minus mx of I plus c, okay, into minus xi into 2. And if you just solve this equation, we will get this value. Dm is equal to minus 2 divided by n into summation of I is equal to 0 to n of xi into yi minus predicted y. Original y minus predicted y. So with this function, I'll show you this one practically also how to solve that dm. The partial derivative with respect to m is calculated by this method. Then we'll calculate partial derivative with respect to c. So with respect to m, which is your coefficient, weight that you multiply, and second is the c which we add. Similarly, let's find the partial derivative of respect to c. dc is equal to this. dc is equal to minus 2 divided by n into I is equal to 0 to n and summation of yi minus yi bar. yi minus yi bar. This is dc, that is partial derivative with respect to c is calculated. Fine. And now, how to calculate the value of m? So we update the current value of m and c using the following equation. M is equal to m minus l into dm. Now m is your slope, correct? L is your learning rate and dm is the partial derivative with respect to m. And this case for c also is equal to c minus l into dc. So we repeat this step until our loss function is very, very small, ideally 0 error or 100% accuracy we are getting. Continue. Using a formula, we have to do this one. Loss function is very small value or ideally 0. So value of m and c that we left with now will be optimum values. L, m and c that we are left with now will be the optimum value. Optimum is line of best fit. Consider line of best fit that we can have it here with the gradient descent algorithm. So currently, so use the partial derivative. With the help of it, it is possible to build the line of best fit in the linear regression. Now let's going back to our analysis. M can be considered as the current position of the person starting to the goal, current position of the person. D is equivalent to steepness of the slope. D derivative is the steepness of the slope, and L can be the speed with which it moves. Speed, the speed with it moves ahead, that is L. Now, the new value of M that we calculate using the above equation will be his next position. Remember, we calculate M. M will be the new value of its next position, and L into that learning rate into derivative will be the size of the step that he will take. Size of the step that he will take. Correct. So when the slope is more steep, that is d is more, he takes longer steps, and when it is less, that is d is less, he takes the smaller steps. Correct. Steep is more, so last steps are there. So that's what the equation will show you, the same. Finally, when he arrives at the bottom of the valley, it corresponds to our loss function 0. So task is to start from the top, okay, and move toward the accuracy 100% at center of the valley where the loss is 0. And now with the optimum value of x, our model is ready to make the predictions. This is called as the gradient descent method, which is used to build the linear regression as a support to it. But see, under gradient descent, again, 3 different types are there. But let's see that one. I'll just show you how gradient descent actually perform the operation. Practically, we'll see, and we'll compare that with the linear regression also. The method which I have shown, the steps which I have given, so that steps we can use, and with the help of these steps, it's possible to build the model of linear regression also. Okay, so wait a minute, just see this one. I'll just combine and connect these things into the Python code. Just a minute. Let's take the same example, not the different one. We'll talk about the same example that we expect. Yeah, see this. Now, the data that I have taken above, which one? Experience and salary. Correct. Experience and salary that I will take as it is. So let's check what exactly the data is currently having. That data I will use, and then we will build a model with gradient descent. The technique which I shown, I'll just put it there. See this. This is your X. I think yeah, correct. Values are correct. This is X. That is our salary. Okay, and Y. That is our experience. Yes, sorry, salary Y and experience. Correct. That's good. So we'll use this method, and let's build the model within gradient descent. The algorithm which are shown in 4 steps that we can do. Now see, what we have seen first. So first of all, we have considered the value of M and C equal to 0. Let's see. Let's build that. Let's create the value of M and C is equal to 0. See this. So I have created this value of M and C equal to 0. Fine. And now 2 things that we require here. 2 things. First is learning rate, and second is the epoch. See. So I'm keeping L is equal to 0.001, that is 0.1%, 0.01%, sorry, and epoch are 22,000. Epoch means number of iteration to perform the gradient descent. Number of iteration starting traveling from top and coming below, that is number of iterations that we require. That's all to I just put these values. And now initially what I've done, I need to identify what's the length, how many number of elements that X is containing. That is your 30 elements are there. I just convert into floating point format here. Fine. And now let's create the gradient descent. See, look at clearly. I'm just creating it from the scratch, and I have defined the number of epoch, 2000 number of time I have to do this one. See this. See, to perform the gradient descent, this code I'll use. So for I in range epochs, 2000 epochs are there, steps are there, and to perform. Now, first of all, Y predicted Y is equal to M into X plus C. m into x plus c. Now, here value of m is 0, c is 0, so y will be 0 for first case, first epochs there. Now, we'll calculate dm value. Derivative with respect to m, whose function, whose formula I mentioned there, minus 2 divided by n into sum of x into y minus predicted y. Derivative of it. That's how and the partial derivative into dm. Correct. After that, we'll use this data. dm is done. The dc, derivative to c is calculated. dc is equal to minus 2 divided by n into sum of y minus predicted y. Derivative with respect to c, and then update this data with the fourth step which I mentioned. See, what was that? M is equal to m minus previous m minus learning rate, that was 0.001 into partial derivative. Update it. So m will be updated, and same case c is equal to c minus learning rate l into partial derivative with respect to c. That's what we got, the c value, m value and the c value. We got that. So value there, what is again next. So how many number of steps are done? 2000 steps I have created it. Okay, I think something is missing. Just a minute. Data dimensional. So I have created y in 2-dimensional fashion, x in 2-dimensional fashion. So I need to use x in 1 dimension there. So x is equal to x dot reshape 30. Yes, 30 elements are there. So I just converted to column to 2-dimensional to the 1 dimension. 30 elements are there, and now my task is completed. With the step which I mentioned, gradient descent. This is gradient descent learning that is done. And once the algorithm is learned in gradient descent, now you just check it, the value of m and c. So m is this 12,704, and c is this 3,863. Got it? M and c. This is learning from gradient descent. Gradient descent has learned that, and after that we can make the predictions. So let's make the predictions. For example, my experience is 15 years, and when I'm having 15 years experience, how much salary I will get? Okay, so what was that? 15 into weight, that is weight is m, slope plus bias is c. 1,94,424 salary that I will get. This is the gradient descent algorithm for building the linear model, linear regression basically. 15 into m plus c, same, y is equal to mx plus c. So if you change this number again accordingly, 20 years I'll get 2,57,944 salary after 20 years. Okay, so in 10 years, 1,30,000. Okay, it is already present in data set also. This is what the gradient descent is. So gradient descent learning is the method by which it learns the ideal value of m and c, which is starting from 0, and number of epochs we have to specify how many number of time, learning rate mentioned, and number of epochs also, how many number of time you have to do it. So you start traveling initially, go. So as you move closer, the speed decreases. Wait a minute, I'll show you. Here m is updated, c is updated. Print m first, and so initial value of m is 12,703. Okay, so we move closer, 12,780, 50, 20, 100, see. Stop, and then you go for C, intersect C. 5, 6, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4, 7. It's increasing. gradient descent. Fine. And we'll get the end value m is equal to this one and c is equal to this one. And then we have predicted the data with the help of this given set of m and c. Fine. And now if you plot that, then what will happen? See, scatter, original data, and then predicted data. X and predicted x, that is, you should have an equation there. Mx plus c, na? M into x plus c. Yes, see this one. This is the gradient descent line. Getting this? Center of all. And here we'll put the color. Gradient descent line is like that. So with 2000 epochs I have mentioned, if you just decrease the number of epochs here, then what will happen, that we will see. 1000 epochs I mentioned. Not much deviation, small deviations we have got over here with the number of epochs. 1000 epochs I mentioned. This is the line of best fit with the help of the gradient descent algorithm created here. Even we can compare their performances also. Here we can check the regression, and many more regressions are there. Even in, okay, here I have created from the scratch, but if you want to do this operation with the help of just a minute. Okay, this is done completely. And parallelly comparison with linear regression also. If you linear regression, then is there any difference present there or not? That also you can find. So let's go for that. I'll just come below. And okay, this reshape, I need to do it again. But let's create the object of linear regression. LR is equal to linear regression LR dot fit. I think it will show error here, because X is required to be reshaped again. Yeah, fit it. And let's plot this data with the linear regression now. Let's use color is red. Yeah, see the difference between both. Stochastic gradient descent, sorry, is green line, and the red line is the linear regressions line. Deviations are different. Both of their deviations are different here, that we can see. Okay, this is their own ideas are there. If you use OLS will also draw the line. But where the high error is there, where the error is more, that is mean absolute error is more, or R2 score is more, that also you can calculate. See, for example, if you want to check the R2 score, that is your R square error. So we'll import R2 score. Okay, and let's have Y from the gradient descent is mx plus c. Okay, gradient descent mx plus c, and Y from LR is equal to LR dot predict next. So both values we got now, Y with gradient descent, Y with LR. Okay, fine. And now we'll see the R2 score of both. R2 score, are you getting what I have done? I have done the prediction on the same data with gradient descent algorithm, and I have done prediction on the same data with linear regression algorithm. So YGD is the predicted values with gradient descent, and YLR is predicted value with linear regression. Fine. So let's see the difference, YLR and Y. So R2 score for Y linear regression is 95%, 50% accuracy. And if I want to see R2 score for Y, GD and Y. 91.25%. Okay, this is the difference that we can see. But if you change the epoch, you can identify whether the difference is present there or not. 91%, because linear regression is perfectly drawing the line. Stochastic gradient descent basically is not perfectly at the center of all. These two lines are there. Now, if you increase the number of epochs, maybe it may affect. For example, I make it 2000 here. Again, X. Just a minute. It's learned, and now see the difference of both. Again, same problem. Just a minute. I'll show the difference between both. Yeah. Still no differences are there. Maximum learning is possible till this 91.90% with gradient descent. Maybe like that. This is what the comparison that we can see. And even you can get a table also, the predicted value from gradient descent and predicted values from the linear regression. See this, for example, I create a table here, result with the data frame. See, actual value Y, then LR predicted value is Y LR, and GD group discussion values is Y GD. And if you see this result, check out the difference between both actual value, LR predicted value, and GD predicted values. See that. So you will find a difference in both of these values. That's why the gradient descent is not that much accurate. See that. But most important things to note that I can identify the ideal hyperparameters with the help of which learning is possible, like LR, or sorry, learning rate. Yes, I have kept 0.001. If you change the learning rate, obviously this data will also change. So this is a hyperparameter, or epoch is also hyperparameter that you have to mention. Using cross-validation technique, it's possible to learn the perfect line of base fitting gradient descent also. Gradient descent also, the perfect line of base fit is possible. That's also we can learn from this data, and we can use. So this is the algorithm which is used in the learning of the data. Here, see, I think these two values are crossing each other. You can check it out. These two lines are crossing each other here. Again, see this. These two values are crossing each other. Here, at this point, their predictions are almost correct. You can see this. Here, gradient descent is crossing. 62, 56, then 64, 68, 62, 72, 67. Here crossing at this point. Here the value of GD were less and LR were higher. Now from this point onward, GD is incrementing and LR's rate. So learning rate is different there. Both are having different learning rate, different slopes. That's why they have identified, and based on that, the value that I am getting is different.